I think we should introduce, you can introduce uh, your involvement in that from the outset.
Yeah, well, art of skating, the idea is it's looking at skating as a form of dance, really. And it's has different technique than being on the floor, but really it can be seen as a form of dance. And in dance, there's stage dance, there's social dance, there's dance of sport. Though all those things exist in the world of dance, which has been around for thousands of years in every culture. And so from that perspective, nothing really, there's nothing distinctive about skating or I mean, it is special. What's distinctive is it's a different technique because you're on ice. But socially, it can be analyzed. And what I think is fascinating is that you start seeing how when people skate for fun, rather than just transportation on a canal, when they start skating for fun and for aesthetic purposes, they bring the dance forms that they already know onto the ice. And that happened with the English people. They brought the English styles of dancing and approaches to dancing into the English style figures and combined skating in the 19th century. And that happened with the Viennese people. They brought the waltz onto the ice. And now we have round dancing as kind of the folk dancing equivalent of what's become ice dance today. But round dancing is still practiced, just by regular people in Vienna. And I saw recent videos of people like doing the killing in a whole line, like four people in a row holding together and doing the killing together. And when they do the Mohawk, they all the whole line turns around. It's really impressive. And then most recently, like people involved in breaking and skateboarding and that kind of aesthetic, they started skating in what's called freestyle ice skating, mostly in Europe. And so that's kind of so I think that when we think about skating as a form of dance, we can connect to the traditions and our culture, and it transmits culture across time and space. And
Yeah.
it doesn't exclude the sport of figure skating. Like most of figure skating today is a sport. Dance can be and is a sport, but I think it also allows for all the other kinds of dance that skating is.
Yeah, this hybrid, this thing skating, which is a sport, but in the sport, within the sport, we're judging both sides of your brain, basically. Yes, it's dance and
Well,
music, presentation and humanity and sport, you know, trying to land
that's no
quadruple
different.
something as well.
Well, there's ballroom dances like that, Irish dances like that.
Ah, it's true.
Ballet is not. Ballet is definitely not a sport, but there are dance sports.
Yeah, well, when you have a sport, you have to make some rules, right? And
Yes.
even within ballet, there are kind of rules. There's kind of a vernacular. It's kind of a style. Ballet is very fundamental and beautiful in my opinion. And but as you say, and I thought about it, it's very limiting in it's not like modern dance where you're moving every which way. Ballet is a very structured thing.
Yeah, but that's what makes it good. Because if you just have movement and you say, I'm just gonna go however I feel like it, it doesn't communicate anything. So any kind of dance, you make a dance language, and then there are movements that are part of that language and movements that are not. So like Martha Graham is all about, you know, contractions and everything coming right from here. Ballet is all about standing on one leg on a point shoe, like that. So everything is about being able to stand on one leg and move all the other five limbs around, including your head, at will while remaining balanced. And So it's just, so once you have a movement language, you know, you can follow those conventions, but then of course that's boring. So what makes good choreography is when you break the conventions, you break the rules. Or like we have one ballet with a hand position like this, which is totally not a ballet position, but it was a position for that piece of choreography. It was to, my back is not flexible enough for that anymore.
You know, I skated to the Rite of Spring. I did a long program to the Rite of Spring when I was in my young competitive years.
I
Nijinsky
didn't know that.
broke with tradition, right? In the Rite of Spring.
Oh yes, oh yes, he did. But that was more like throwing out all of ballet together. But my point is still the same. Any movement language, there are movements that are part of it and movements that are not part of it. And what I think is so special about ballet movement is it's not just a bunch of, it's not like, oh, there's this step and this step and this step and we've thrown them all together and called them ballet. It's a very mathematically intricate system where there are only a small number of principles. There's the principle of length, right? You're always lengthening your limbs, whatever it is. So you say, oh, should I do it like this, or should I do it like this? Well, which one is right? Well, you don't have to ask your ballet teacher. You have to think about it. You say, well, length and turnout. So I'm going to go with the one that's longer, and you're going to be right. And then turnout, right? It's all about turning out. You never turn in ballet, right? None of this stuff is ballet. Because you're turning in, absolutely not ballet. But of course, like skating, learning to skate figures, it has its own movement language, which I think has been really fascinating to me, especially because it's all about balancing without turning out your standing leg, right? So I've been working on just like doing this really smoothly,
Yeah, well, there's
and
something very fundamental about figures. And I think there's something very fundamental about ballet. Ballet isn't just something that randomly somebody dreamed up in their head and it's randomly came to them. It's based on some fundamental principles, right? Like that extension isn't just, oh, we'll aim for extension rather than bend. It's sort of intrinsically more beautiful, I think, and just the possibilities that you can have from defining the ballet with the turnout. The turnout is kind of more beautiful as well, right?
you know what? I think I've become less of an absolutist with time. I do think it's very beautiful, but I think what makes it beautiful is it's functional. Everything in ballet is functional. And when you do ballet well, like a port de bras, you train a good port de bras like that. You don't train it like this. That's what kids do, or beginners when they think they're being pretty. They do that. But you want to have the most simple, direct movement in everything. And when we
Efficiency of motion is important in ballet generally, right? Yeah, you don't have a lot of extraneous waving about.
right? Yeah, or like this. We want to step forward. We were taught to keep our foot close to the floor, step on it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Boom, and then you're there. We don't do this. We don't bring the foot way up and then slam it down and then step on it and wiggle around. So everything's. I mean, a lot of students do this, but then they bang their point shoes on the floor. It's why are you picking your foot up just to put it back down? It makes no sense. And the more efficient you go, the faster you can.
Yes.
The faster
Well, you
you can
want to
move
have some creativity and style, and like ballet dancers do lift their free legs up very high, of course, and there is, the flourish and the musicality, and it's yes, it's a defined set of motions and positions with French words to define them, and they're all kind of based. There's nothing like to. It's all a nice tightly knit structure. Five basic positions of the feet. And joints move in circles. So you have like rond de jambe and things like that. And jumping is a very basic thing. And you don't want to stomp around on the ice or walking down a hill or doing ballet either. You want to be graceful and elegant and take good care of your body and be refined. So yeah, I think ballet is very, very good for that. You think ballet is good for skaters? Do you think like yes, it's good for skaters in some ways. It's also bad for skaters maybe in some ways. What do you think about that, Elizabeth?
Well, I think it's you know what? Before I answer the question, I'll say I'll say a little bit more about form and function. Is the function that turnout provides is stability, because we turn out our hips, our foot in our hips, and then we stand on it. Everything's turned out, everything's locked in place. And
It's a wider platform when you're turned out.
also, these parts are locked together. The bones lock into place. Once you maximize your turnout in your bone, now you're turned out, you can do everything. If I stand on a leg that's not turned out, it's all mobile in here, right? So everything in ballet has a function. Right? Why do we stretch our legs out so long? I mean, it's beautiful, but also because if we want to stand on point, right? We have to stretch everything out, line it all up, put it down. Why do we not sickle our feet, right? Because if you land a tour jeté or waltz jump on a sickled foot, you will sprain your ankle. One of my colleagues ended his career that way. He didn't come to company class to warm up. He went on stage. His foot wasn't heel front the way it needed to be. He landed his jump. That was the end of his career.
Ouch. Yikes. That seems an unfair punishment for such a little thing. But yeah,
Well,
you know,
we train those little things like heel
yeah,
first, heel first.
yes, of
Always keep
course.
now toes back, heel first, toes first, heel first, toes first, because we're always trying to keep things turned out more and more and more. But what fascinated me about the skating moves I was learning was that I was learning ways to stabilize all these pieces without turning out my standing leg. And I had not believed that was possible. I had thought, well, you have to turn out to be stable. And here was a whole movement language where you didn't. And so that became, so the skating moves have a beauty to them because they're functional, even with, you pigeon toe sometimes, you turn in, you sickle your foot, you do all sorts of things you don't do in ballet, but it's all functional also in its own way. And because it's functional and you're doing the simplest, most direct way you can, it becomes beautiful. And also because it's balanced, right? Anything that's functional, I think, can be balanced, and balance can be beautiful. And that's what was so fascinating to me last summer. So I would say, is skating good for is ballet good for skaters? Before I answer that question, I'll answer, is skating good for ballet dancers? Right? Because I mean, no skater ever thinks about that question, but I did. And last summer,
You pondered this.
Oh no, I did the experiment. So,
Well, you've more than just done some kind of Gadinkin experiment.
Yeah. So last summer, I didn't go to any ballet class at all summer, which was easy because there was none.
Yeah.
All I did was skate every day, and I was practicing. Basically, I guess last summer I was practicing like preliminary figures. And that's all I did. I'd get so involved in, okay, oh, here we go. Oh, there's my I ate and where are all my body parts? And I got so involved, and I could spend an hour just on Ford outside eight, just like that, no problem. Just fascinated with my own body parts. And when I came back to
It
ballet
relates
classes,
to skating, yes, as it relates without the ballet, yeah.
yeah, I did no ballet at all. I just went to the rink every day and practiced my figures, every like 5 days a week. And
So
then
you
I
didn't
got
do any, did you do some off ice training or stretching or self-care or
no, I didn't. I didn't have the
just showed up
studio
at the
then.
rink and skated for 2 hours every day?
Yeah, what? Well, 1 hour. I didn't have stamina for 2 hours. I was
Huh,
just
huh.
starting. But I would.
You
I
go out
mean,
and push
I would
yourself pretty
stretch.
hard for an hour.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I would sit on the bench and stretch and do a little bit of this stuff beforehand, and some grand battements, this kind of stuff. Just at the
You
rink. But
have pretty good style. Yeah, you
yeah,
do look like a ballet dancer.
I wonder why.
Well, the
So this.
style and the function merge in figure skating too, as my viewers know from my videos. Like, for example, a mohawk, like I think that turned out position is very beautiful, but it's also functional. Because if you want
Yeah,
to do an easier mohawk, you turn out more, right? To change from one foot to the other.
that's right.
And that's
So
just one example in figure skating where function and style merge. They're kind of the same thing in a way. And speaking about sort of, you know how I like my dichotomies. Well, what about the dichotomy of choreography versus improvisation?
I
Get
can
some
I can I
advantages from being able to choreograph something, take our time, make it marry the music, uh, rehearse it, all the steps so it's precise. But we lose something too that we would gain from improvisation, which is fresh and in the here and now and has more vitality and can be very inspiring. So what are your thoughts on choreography versus improvisation, Elizabeth?
I think that's a great question, but can I finish answering the question about what skating does for dancers or vice versa?
Go ahead. Yes.
So I got back into the studio last fall, took ballet class, and we do the plies and then we releve and we balance. We do all these balances, and I found like I could balance forever. It was like, I mean, I always practice balancing, but now I could balance like crazy, like never before. It was insane. And the reason why is because before I would put all my body parts in the right place, stand on them, and then try to hold it there and hope for the best. But now I had all this more ankle strength and ankle control. So if I wasn't quite in the right place, I could just muscle where it needed to be and have more dynamic balance and thus balance forever.
Mhm.
And
And
that was
you credit figure skating for developing that
absolutely
strength. Yes. Figure
well
skating is
because
the most difficult balance sport. I challenge
yeah,
anybody to challenge me on this. Figure skating is a really difficult balance sport, and you have to use your muscles, for to fine tune that balance as you're rocking around on that slippery surface, with the blade
yeah.
down the middle of your foot, moving all different ways.
And
So
I could
that
feel my
doesn't
ankles were
surprise
getting
me.
tired. Yeah, my ankles were getting tired on the ice. I was really using them,
Mhm.
which I've done before.
Yeah, I
So
notice when I skate in inline skates, my feet get much more tired. And it's because I think it's because, well, partly because I don't spend as much time on the inline skate. So I am fighting my for my balance a little bit more, but also the surfaces are rough for inline skates, typically where I skate. So just that trying to, accommodate for that roughness, my feet get tired and cramp and get painful in inline
well,
skate.
I feel my feet inside my ice skates. I feel them here on top of the arch. I feel the ankles. Like my feet are really working inside those skates,
Yeah.
you know.
As
But
you
I'm way
define
too
your balance and skating skills more and more, then you can devote less and less energy and attention to just struggling to keep your balance. You can relax more and just it doesn't consume you as much. So ultimately, like for me, I would never get cramped feet figure skating after all the experience that
No,
I
I'm not getting crab feet. They're working. They're working like on the jump. If I jump, the way we train in ballet, our foot does all the work, and my foot's doing the same thing inside that boot. Even though it's not moving as much, it's still
Yes, still
working.
pressure. Yeah, it is moving, but not as much. But yeah, and there's still pressure on the front of your foot as you jump. Yeah, that can hugely benefit your jumps. Many skaters don't use their ankles like ballet dancers. Uh, yeah.
I'm shy because I discovered that like all these skaters have flat feet. I'm like, why is that? But in ballet dances, we really build up our arches. See?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No kidding, huh? Yeah.
I have high.
Very
I
high
didn't.
arch.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't. This all came from ballet training. So I guess that's how ballet can help you with your skating. You can get more awareness of your feet. You can build up that strength on your feet, and so you can do more of the moves with your own body rather than relying on the boot to save you when you land. I think.
Yeah, because the boot can be strong and give you support, but the more strength and support you have, the less mobility you have too. There is that. So if you have a boot that you can bend easily into, you can do more stuff as long as you have the strength and balance and skating skills not to need that boot just like welded to your foot.
Well, for better or for worse, in figures land, we're being steered toward very, very supple boots. And so I have a pair of Harlequins that's just coming soon. That's going to be, very, very soft in the ankle, and I'll have to do all the work myself in the ankle to keep things up.
Yeah, or just continue to refine your balance more and more to the point where you have to do less and less work. Yeah,
And
it's
that
very strenuous. Like for me to skate a loop change loop, compared to how I used to do it when I trained those, it's hard work. I'm exhausted after that. And and it's just because I'm struggling for the balance and stay on the tracing and it's I don't have the skill to be.
I don't know if you can see these blue tapes on the ground.
No, you'd have to tilt. Oh, blue tape. No, I
There's
can't.
a blue tape.
What is
There's a
that?
blue. So just before this, Karen Cortland Kelly had me learning like back loop change loops on the floor.
Inline
And
skates.
no, like this. This,
Oh, really? Oh my God, just hopping around. Oh, okay, why not?
yeah. I mean, I can't do them on the ice, but yet, but maybe that'll help me.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah,
fun.
maybe that'll help you. Maybe that'll help. It should help you, but really what you
Yeah.
can do on the ice, you can't do on the floor. And which is the most important thing is your lean. You have to have a certain depth to your edges to do those loop change loops. If you're not comfortable with, a pretty deep edge, uh, on loop change loops, yeah, which you can't really simulate on the floor, then you're not going to be able to. I think that's an important key to being able to do loop change loop well.
Well, you've talked a lot about the lean and deep edges on your videos, and I think about that a lot.
Hmm.
And, in theory, kind of if you're going around a circle, it's like you're still just in line with the gravity vector. It's just tilted, so it wouldn't necessarily feel like a lean, but also kind of not. So, I mean, I've been thinking of it both ways. I don't know if that makes any sense. But it is something I think about more, and I'm starting to be able to say, oh yes, I went around a circle. I like that lean that I got. You
I
know.
think it's the most fundamental and important skating skill is your understanding, either in your head or the way you move, of your lean, your speed, and your arc. You know, tighter arc means you have to lean more. More speed means you have to lean more. Getting that right, I think, is really a big key to skating skill and ability to, make progress and skate well, actually. So lean, and in order to be on a curve is lean. And from a physics perspective, you do need to have your center of mass, which is somewhere around your belly button, your solar plexus, somewhere around that area. You do need to have your center of mass inside the arc because you've got centripetal force. You got a force when you're on a curve forcing you outward. So you got to hold yourself inward, and in order to do that, you need to have some sideways grip, and you need to have some lean to do that. And if you're going fast
You
enough
know,
to the arc, you need to have a lot of lean, deep edge.
yeah, I went through the physics of that. I wrote down all the equations and went over it. And then I did an additional version, like where say you're on a circle, you're leaning. I can't lean. Okay. So you're on a circle and you're leaning, right? And then suppose you're putting your arms in and out of the circle versus like that on the circle. And I was able to show that any body part that's not on the circle creates this torque force on you. And that's why I concluded, that's why, right, we get the least torque, the most control. If you put all our body parts right on the circle, but then if you spin, we want to create that torque, we do this wide position. Because again, like a difference, like ballet, everything's wide, right? These beautiful wide positions, but in skating, we can't afford to do that unless we're doing a spin. We have to, every position gets squashed down onto a circle. So instead of that nice ton de quasi front, like this, we go, whoop, you know.
Rotation is your friend and your rotation is your enemy. So when you want rotation to be your friend, you're going to be wide and then going tight. But if you want stability, you don't want to over rotate or under rotate. You want to control your rotation. Yeah, to change arms from forward to backward. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a big new when I was a newbie. I did this to change arms, of course.
Yeah, no. That throws off. That's how you want to move your arms if you're doing like some back and forth like snake serpentine step or some cross rolls or something. Then you want to have that leverage with your arms.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, it's great the way we twist our shoulders against our hips. It feels so
Spinal
good.
torque. Yes, spinal torque. You need to have that twist. It doesn't have to be the spine. It could be the shoulders as well, but to me, it's mostly the like your ability to twist your spine to me is quite a key to being able to do brackets, counters, and rockers well. But you said, Elizabeth, that in ballet you don't really twist your spine that
That's right, we don't.
rigid in your spine generally as a ballet dancer.
So everything goes in the hips. Like so, if I'm here, so first of all, this is a everybody loves ton de quasi front. This feels very good because there's this opposition going on.
Uh-huh.
You got opposition.
Hmm.
We don't. This ton de efface feels like you're kind of just efface means open.
Hmm.
It's the same position but rotate. It doesn't feel good because you're trying to you're looking front toward the audience and it's just like, where am I? Because it doesn't have that opposition. Opposition always feels good. But
Hmm.
yeah, we don't twist our spine. So the most we might do, I'll show a little bit of polka here, right? Which we call épaulement, wearing of the shoulders. So these very, very subtle movements of the shoulders, just to be beautiful. And they are functional. The Cicchetti method shows how the épaulement is not just decoration, it's functional because it's actually the same contrary motion, oppositional motion
Very
in the
modest, very
épaulement.
subtle motion. But you would say
Yeah.
that's shoulders, that's not your spine moving. You're pretty sure that's just
Well, I mean,
shoulders?
I'm sure there's a little bit of your spine, but But like if we want to initiate rotation, we do it from our hips. Boom,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Arms from our hips, you
Uh,
know,
you
you know,
you get leverage.
not
You can you can take you always go from 2 feet ultimately to get rotation on the floor, which we can't do on skates. We're not supposed to. We're
no,
supposed to be on one foot at a time.
no, we make rotation on one foot.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. The same
Okay,
in
I'm gonna
figure
show
skating.
off
That's by
that,
twisting your body
right?
and your spine, and then on. Can you show me again, actually, you're getting rotation on one foot, how you generate that rotation on one foot? Okay, but
Pointing.
you've already got rotation. You're speeding up what rotation you already have. How you get rotation, like starting with no rotation on
Here,
one foot. Okay, right, right. Now, how are you going to show me how you're going to get rotation? Okay. You can go about a full rotation and then you have to yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. That's how we can rotate also for turns and figure skating. We can rotate hips against shoulders. That's pretty hips against shoulders, I would say, Elizabeth. When you did that, generated that
no, no,
rotation. No, show me again.
you know what? It probably that was yes,
Yeah,
but that's not really
you didn't think you
again.
were twisting in ballet, but you are.
No, no, that wasn't ballet. It's just something I do naturally now because I've been
Ah.
skating so.
Hmm.
But no, in ballet we were taught like these 4 points: top of the pelvis, hip like all in a plane, like a playing card. We do not
Yes.
twist our spine in theory.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that for jumping. Like I don't like to twist my spine for jumping so much, like a lot of skaters do it nowadays. I think about those 4 points, the hips and shoulders, as a
So,
plane, as
so,
you say. I use that in figure skating jumping technique. Yeah.
but we can use our arms. See, yeah,
Ah,
brought my arm out and then whip it in to generate that as I push off to generate that movement.
yeah, it speeds up the rotation when you pull your arms in.
Yeah. And your arms also do work. It adds energy to the system.
Pulling in against
Yeah.
centripetal force is work. Well,
Yes.
supporting your arms is work. Just holding them up there, and even if you have some subtle motions, that's that's still a little bit of work.
Not in the not in the physics sense, but like force times distance. When you pull those arms in force times distance, it
Yes,
adds
yes, yes,
energy to
yes,
your
yes,
system.
yes, yes. Go from wide to tight, and you can really spin.
So
Well,
I
Elizabeth, tell me what you're involved in. You're so uh, you're all so you practice figures occasionally, do you? Yes, you like figures.
every day I love figures. Yes.
Yes, and you did some choreography with sort of a figures-based type of choreography. You sent me a link to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So look at this. If I want to lift my foot into coup de pied, I can start by moving my toes back, and then I keep move my heel front, and then it comes up.
Oh yes.
Boom.
Ah,
Right. See, this is all very meticulous bar work. Here I'm just working on my toes. I love that kind of. My reputation as a dancer has always been very meticulous bar work. And so when I learned about figures, I was like, oh yes, I'm going to have a great time with this. And I have been having a great time. I love kind of finding all those little details in my body, like, oh, I want my lower back to be like this and not like that. You know, all these little things. In ballet, the difference between this and this is the
mm-hmm.
difference between right and wrong.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I do like figures.
Details, details. Yeah, so you also love ballet because you've got your ballet bar front and center in your living space.
Oh yes, everyone should have a ballet bar. Yeah.
Well, in Tokyo, there's a ballet bar on every street. There's those kind of fencing like everywhere. Like outside, there's actually a double fence. Like if you put that sideways, there's a double bar which I sit on, and I do like a lot of myofascial release and like foam roller type of exercises on these kind of bars. That one's probably too flimsy to sit on and start doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, I also do like ballet. Like if I'm in the middle of a run, if I'm not like running, if I want to take a break, I'm doing a run with breaks in between exercises. I'll find a bar like that and I'll do, piriformis stretch or just put my leg up on the bar and turn out
Yeah,
and
I mean,
like
and
that.
some things can be done that way. I think it's hard. Like I have a dance floor in here, and it has just the right amount of friction for dance.
Ah, yes, you are a ballet extremist.
Oh, well, then you're a skating extremist.
Yeah, it's the truth. Well, hey, Elizabeth, this has been great. Thank you very much for all the comments and engagement that you've given in the Gary Moves channel. I appreciate this is why I wanted to have you on in a face-to-face conversation is because you made very interesting comments and sometimes at length beyond what I could really reply to. And so I thought maybe the best way for us to communicate would be this type of thing with the technology we have nowadays to see face to face in this virtual reality, but we've had a nice conversation, and uh,
But
and
it's been
so
fun.
yeah, so
So,
and I also wanted to do this project because I wanted to reach out and get a feeler on the viewers and subscribers that I have to my channel, and so I'll probably do these kind of interviews more and more in the future with different subscribers or because it's fine for me to like I've been in skating for more than half a century and I've got a lot of experience and knowledge and I'm a thinking person like you are. So, I do have a lot to share myself, but it's good for me to break out of my own bubble and
yeah.
have some interaction with somebody else who I can learn something from and have a nice conversation with.
Would you like me to address before we leave to address the questions you brought up that I didn't address yet?
Please, please, please.
Okay. But how can ballet help skaters? Okay, I talked about how skating can help ballet dancers.
Ah,
Uh,
yes, yes, yes.
but how can and I'll say this also. I think in figures you can either get 6.0 figures or you can die trying, and either way you win because if you read the literature on balance training for older adults, it's amazing. It's amazing how good that is. So I'll probably die trying, and I'll die healthier and happier for it, I guess. But I think for skaters, I think one thing, just learning how to be in touch with our body. I think the ballet training is very focused on that and building awareness through movement of body parts, how to line up your spine and stuff like stuff like this. You were saying you can do things easily and you don't have to think about them now and put in all that effort. Well, I can stand like this easily,
Mm.
but if you put
Yeah,
a beginner at the ballet
I wouldn't be
class,
good like that. No,
yeah,
that's
they're like, oh my
I have
gosh,
way
there's
better
so many.
balance than you on the ice, but on the floor, you're hands down. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, so I think that right, in order to build something like that balance I just showed, we have to learn awareness of all these body parts.
Yeah.
And I think we practice without any equipment, without any just the floor and the ballet slippers, so we don't tear up the bottoms of our feet.
Mm.
And we really learn how to use all our body parts to make it happen. So that awareness is a good thing. I think one thing specifically, like ballet, there's a whole thing we train. So we train tendu back, and the first thing we know is that when we do tendu back, our lower spine has to bend because the bone structure doesn't allow us to move our foot back without sticking that butt out. So then we learn how to, when we go to coup de pied in, to not leave that butt sticking out like that. We have to pull it back in. That's something that I think skaters can really learn from. If you learn that control there, You can get good backward strokes. You can get good forward strokes without pitching forward every time you push forward. You're building that core.
Yes, yes,
And
for
then we take
sure.
that
There's
out.
so many skaters that have excessive hip motion, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the parts aren't the parts need to be together in here, but then also able to move when they need to move. It's,
Yes.
I think it's a difficult thing in skating. And then in ballet, we train this. So front, side, back, tendu, dégagé, dégagé, and then ultimately up to grand battement. It's all about moving the toe away from the body. It's not like moving in the circles, like see how far I can get that toe from the body. And then we go eventually all the way up. And where we're talking about ballistic stretches, and I'm not really warmed up in my back, and I have an old person's back now. But we train to boom. So with that, we train the arabesque. Let's see a good position for arabesque. Arabesque is kind of the most special of the ballet position. And it's supposed to look like, I'm going to try it on the other side. It's supposed to look like a French curve. Things of the Arabs, arabesque. Right? It's supposed to be this bend in the back and that straight leg going out. And again, I have an old person's back now, but the way we train is your leg goes up and up and up, and you hold your body. You're standing, all these parts lined up. See, I'm not holding onto the bar. You line them all up and see how high you can get your leg. Now, when your leg is as high as it can go, now if you want to do penché arabesque, lean over. Now you just tilt the whole thing over on the fulcrum. Boom, 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 boom. And then we can go reach all the way front. We can finish an attitude if we can finish in any ways. Right? So, oh my gosh. So that's how, and it takes years to train a beautiful arabesque. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that's useful for a spiral. You might not want to do a spiral in that exact position, especially because if you lean so far forward, you will fall over on your toe pick. So it's a little different.
Or camel spin. Yeah, I think that is a very beautiful position.
Yeah, or maybe you want just a
Generally
flat
speaking,
position.
ballet dancers are much more beautiful to look at than figure skaters. I mean, yeah, figure skating is a sport and it's athletic, and we do, these very difficult moves on the slippery surface. But ballet is really, you talk a lot about function as being important, but it's very stylish. And also, ballet, you learn for figure skating, you might derive some benefit in ballet from how you dance to music, your musicality.
Well, that's another thing. Like we're always practicing on the beat to music, and the reason that's important is because there's something you're trying to do. It's difficult, and there's the little hiccup. So you automatically give yourself a little extra time. Now, if you have to get it to music, you have to boom, 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 right that. And you're practicing in a rhythm. Practicing in a rhythm is so good for our bodies, and you force yourself into whatever the rhythm it is. And one day it's fast, one day it's slow. Practicing slow can be difficult, right? Here I'm doing slow turns. Oh my gosh.
More difficult.
The balance is complicated.
You have to balance longer, more difficult.
Yeah, so practicing to music.
Yeah, more unstable. Yeah, slower is more difficult on ice too. A lot of things. A lot of things are more difficult, slower, like figures.
Yep.
Figures are mostly slow,
Another
difficult.
thing. So anyway, that arabesque, like what I see a lot of coaches doing, they tell the kids do a spiral. They go like this. They pitch their nose forward first. As soon as you pitch your nose forward, you're dead, right? The foot has to go up, then you can lean forward, right? That's how you're going to do it. So when here everything's up, everything's on balance, then you can stay on balance, So like they don't know how to teach arabesque, and it takes years to develop. So that's a big thing you can get out of that. Of course, if you want a nice spread eagle, we work on turning out in second position, that takes years to develop.
For sure, for
And
sure.
even after that, I don't dare try an outside edge spread eagle. I just don't think, unless the boots can do something funny, my knees just are not going to want to do that.
So you
Um,
wouldn't be able to get into the position, regardless of whether you'd have the controls to sustain it on ice. You wouldn't be able to get into the position for an outside spread eagle, you're saying? You can't do a
well, I'm saying
180?
I am almost 180, but not, it's not 180 there.
No, no,
Right?
no, no, no. It's not
Yeah.
even almost, if you want to know the truth.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay. But like I talked to some people, I don't know, some skaters seem to just force their knees or I don't know.
Well, there's two ways that we turn out. I guess you can force your knee a little bit, but mostly it's hips and ankles. Like if we pronate we can turn out the foot itself. It's a pronating action when we do that, but the foot itself you
Yeah.
can turn out, right? Put your heel on the.
Yeah, I see that. Like pronation is death in ballet, but again, I'm learning with skating how to pronate in a safe way. It's not just collapsing your arch. You're actually just moving, moving that foot over, and I've been learning how to do that. So I can see how that could be, but
Yeah, so you
um,
try to confine your turnout in ballet just to the hips. You don't want to pronate and turn out with your ankle.
no pronation ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that's a technique in skating. It's a valid technique that I've had to learn. And then, of course, in ballet, we learn how to have beautiful port de bras. We learn how to have beautiful shoulders, how to move our whole upper body in an integrated way.
Hmm.
And of course, I think that's what everybody kind of recognizes when they see beautiful upper bodies, beautiful port de bras on ice. They're like, oh yeah, that person trained in ballet. But I'll just say this: if you want to have beautiful ballet port de bras, the first thing you need to do is know how to twist your arms. So you see here, I'm holding on to, this is not a bar, this is a curtain rod. I'm holding on to the curtain rod, twisting my arm. See that, my elbow?
Mhm. Yeah, we don't want to see the whites of your arms under there. Yeah, so there, like twist that elbow forward is the right position, and yet you want to twist your wrist a little bit out, so the shoulder is twisted
Like
in and the
this.
wrist is twisted out, or not?
This is the preparatory exercise.
Yes.
So first you hold on to the something and learn how to access that movement.
Yes.
Then you do the same thing, not holding on to anything. And this is where it becomes a mind trick for people.
Ah. Oh, so you're not you're keeping your hand oriented the same way and still doing that shoulder twist. Oh.
That only takes a few days to train. Really, it's not that hard. You just have to try it 20 minutes at a time. Anyone can get it. Once you got that, then you know how to lift your elbows. See, I'm lifting
Right,
my
right,
elbow.
right. Yes,
Then
yes.
you can start getting nice forward bounce. So I think that's about what I can think about for how ballet helps skating, which I guess is quite a lot in the end. And I think also in terms of avoiding injury, um, like I was reading someone, she said, well, first of all, ballet is a lot. Ballet exercise is basically physical therapy in so many ways. So a lot of us don't go to physical therapy when maybe otherwise other people in similar situations would. And like I rehabbed my entire right leg. It was all the muscles were sore. I could barely walk. It was terrible. I rehabbed that in 2 months of ballet class. Um, and but I think there's another aspect of avoiding injury. Like I read someone, she said, well, she knows it's time to change her skates when she starts feeling it here on her landing. And well, yes, we can hurt ourselves there on the landings, but as a dancer, if we land a jump and we start feeling it there, I'll just stop immediately. We'll stop in the middle of class, go to the bar, stretch this out very gently, stretch it out.
Don't just keep hammering away at it and telling yourself, mind over matter, no pain, no gain.
Yeah, I mean, and I felt cramps in this part of my leg, like on bunny hops, because I guess I wasn't used to bunny hops, and my legs were saying, especially my left leg was saying, "Oh yeah, no, that's the problem." I'm like, "Okay, so we got to stretch that out." So I think that just that kind of, knowing how to service your body, how to be aware of your body and service it, I think is a big advantage too.
Yeah, and having a good basic foundational technique that's not hard on the body certainly is important, right? Like another thing, actually, dancing can be a detriment to skating in a few ways. Not as though on the overall assessment, I would say don't do ballet, but this you're pretty extreme turnout most of the time, and for good figure skating, like for how to put your toe pick in on a flip jump, for example, you don't want to be too much turned out. You have to control more the turn in than the turn out in figure skating. So if you don't, if if you're used to doing ballet and you maintain the turn, you don't have the articulation of that joint for figure skating. It can be, maybe a little bit of a downside.
I would say it's not a downside. I think again, ballet is all turned out, and skating is just turn out and turn in. I think people tend to overestimate how similar the two techniques are. They're not. And the skating technique is more varied. It uses more different kinds of movement.
Hmm.
And there's more to practice. But I think what learning and what knowing and what being a trained dancer of any kind to teach you is, how to train your body. Whatever the movement is we're trying to train, how do we train it? And that's apart from the ballet technique itself. That's what I learned from Mr. Mateo in my professional training, was how to train my body to do anything within its physical capabilities.
And to
And so
have
for you,
the awareness, so to have control over your body, too, to have the awareness of of like proprioceptive kind of type of awareness, also is part of the training too, not just having being fit and having the muscles and structure and everything, but having the awareness of your body.
if you get a ballet dancer, it's like, oh, I'm a ballet dancer, and here we are, and I can do all this, and turnout is wrong, turnout is right, and turn in is wrong, and then you're trying to teach them skating, they're going to be resistant to that. Well, turning in is wrong. I don't want to turn in. Not that they can't, not that they can't teach their body. It's that they're not being mentally flexible, and they're thinking too much in black and white terms. But if you have someone who says, well, I trained my body with ballet, and all human movement that is safe is valid, and I'm going to, in that case, the ballet is not a detriment, because the things that you've trained already are easy, and the things you haven't trained, now you can work on training them. And that's how it's been for me. I never say, oh, that's a wrong move, and oh, you want me to turn in, that's wrong. I say, well, I didn't train that, so now I'm going to train it.
Yeah, well, you do have more mobility in ballet, in one sense at least, namely that your metatarsal arch, you can bend. In figure skates, because the sole of your boot is rigid, because it's attached to a blade, you can't bend your metatarsal arch in figure skating, and you can't point you can point your toe, but not as much as you can in ballet, certainly.
Except that my foot seems to want to bend as much as it can within that boot.
Ah, yes. Ballet, more bend is better, right?
Yeah, yeah. And another way that skating helps ballet is what you said. Like the ballet is so extreme, it's all turned out. We always have these trouble with imbalance in our legs, of pulling the kneecap sideways and stuff. And really, a summer of practicing figures fixed that for me. The summer of practicing figures also fixed my shoulder that was having problems that ballet itself was not fixing. So some amount of just that cross training, or getting a more different and complete ways to move your body, I think is very beneficial. But I guess if you don't do ballet, then you're missing out on something. So to get that benefit, I guess you have to be practicing both sets of movement.
Yeah, so is there a downside to skating figures? There are some upsides. It really teaches you a lot When I skated figures, I didn't even realize how much how much skill I actually had. But now analyzing it, a lot of stuff has to happen in a coordinated way for to be able to skate figures well. But look, well, one downside is that you're looking down. So you're trying to trace and you're always looking down.
Yeah, but I'm experienced enough. I can put my head looking wherever I want it to. So when I'm not doing
You could
figures,
look
I'm ready to
down.
look.
Well, your head, I guess, could still be up if you're looking down.
Yeah,
But
but then I'm like, oh, I'm going to skate in the field. I'm not looking down. To me, that's not so hard.
it doesn't encourage a posture with a head forward, bad posture, doing figures, looking down at the ice, trying to trace, get the turn exactly in the right place and all that.
Well, I think when I'm going backwards, I think the looking down is actually part of the spinal twist, kind of like everything going up and over there.
Yeah.
But when I'm going forwards, I don't know. I mean, I've practiced looking my head in so many different locations. It's just another place to put my head at this point.
So when
Um,
you're skating, most of the time when you're out practicing on the ice rinks, practicing your skating, do you find that you keep your focus up, your eyes and your chin and your focus up? Or do you have a tendency, like most skaters do, to look down at the ice? Most skaters tend to look down at the ice way more than they should. What do you think about yourself?
I don't think I look down when I skate in the field,
Ah,
but maybe I'm.
maybe
But
you can ask yourself that next time you're out on the ice. I
well, I
just
mean, I'm in ballet. In ballet, we train never to look down.
Yes, I know.
Right?
That's why I'm asking you because you're trained not to look down, but on the ice.
Look at this. As soon as you look at your feet,
Hmm.
see what happened to my butt?
Yeah.
You're not lined up anymore. You can't do ballet then. You have to always be lined. You have to line all the parts up. So I would guess more likely than
When
not,
you
I'm
get to
probably.
your center on a figure, to be really precise with the neat, tidy center, you have to look down, right down at your foot and make sure it traces into the right same place. So you have to really look straight down, almost
You know what? I think I haven't been looking down enough. I think that's one of my problems with figures.
Ah, you see, ballet messed you up. It made you always have this
Yeah.
beautiful statuesque posture, and so now
You know, as
this
I'm trying
sport,
to get the
figure
figures,
skating, is difficult for you.
or you know what, some of the stuff going backwards, I'm coming around to the center, and then I'm kind of moving my head back and looking down, and then like it's like the whole world now starts spinning in these weird angles. It's a very weird sensory feeling as I'm changing over, and it's like I'm thinking, can I get my head used to that? And I kind of can, I guess. But being able to, I think maintaining focus through the head changes in the figures, I think is very challenging for me.
Yeah, you can't rely on your eyes when to maintain that circle when you're changing your head from looking over your left shoulder to your right or something. So you have to have the feel and have the confidence and everything to just keep the same position all the while moving your head and eyes. Figures very challenging. There's some real difficult figures.
I mean, I can think of other disadvantages of practicing figures. I guess if you spent an hour and you didn't have good time doing it and you paid good money for the ice rink, you lost an hour of time and you lost, $20. So that could be a disadvantage. But I mean, hopefully people can. My hope is you get people so interested in their bodies and in the details that they start having a good time.
Hmm.
What are some other downsides of
Yeah, I think
figures?
having a good time is really an important part of sport, and that's a whole other topic too, actually. There's a lots of whole other topics, Elizabeth. So maybe we'll pick up again in the future. And do you think there's some people still watching this video at this point? Are we? Well, I think we're saying some interesting stuff. We're not just chit-chatting about our own personal, you know we're giving some, we're inspiring, we're teaching, we're motivating. It's not like we're expounding truth everything we say, but we're exploring. And so it's fun for me. This is fun for me, and I
We,
hope
we
people are enjoying our
oh yeah,
conversation.
we can talk about choreography and improvisation. That's a big topic. We can talk about having a good time. I hate the word like recreational dancer because I'm like, I was a professional dancer. I did it for fun. I mean, it's such a difficult life. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like doing it, you know?
Well, skating really well for me is a lot of the fun. The challenge of being competent and doing difficult stuff well, that's a lot of
Oh,
the fun, actually, frankly, for
that's
me.
that's what makes it fun. Makes it fun, yeah.
Yeah, so let's sign off for now, unless there's something else you want to add for the folks out there. And thank you, viewers, for vicariously going on this mind journey with us.
Well, it's been fun, and if you'd like to know to see more of what I'm about, I have a new website called artofskating.org, ARTOFSKATING.org, and it's about all kinds of all kinds of skating other than skating sport. So skating for art and skating for social pleasure, like social dancing. And I'm also putting up my bar exercises on it they're not ballet exercises, but they're things that I have come up with over the past year to help prepare my body for skating figures. So thanks a lot.
Artofskating.org. If you want to open your mind, go to artofskating.org. We really just scratched the surface in figure skating as to what the possibilities, the dance and expressive possibilities are. So I'm sure artofskating.org is one way for people to open their minds.
Well, well, Gary, I mean, having seen some of your videos, you didn't just scratch the surface; you kind of dug in there.
Yeah. I'm not playing around with skating. Yeah, I take it pretty seriously. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you've really opened up, I think, a lot of possibilities and a lot of very creative ideas, which I think is phenomenal.
yeah, it's a big
Thanks.
responsibility, but I take it seriously. Anyways, bye bye,
Okay.
Elizabeth. I'll see you in the future, and thanks again for your comments. I'm sure I'll see your comments, as will subscribers to Gary Moves. And
Okay. Cheers.
cheers.